So about a year ago, I made a video about a Sigma 000 M18, and it got about 1,000 views in the first 24 hours, which was a really big deal for me at the time. So in my excitement, I emailed Sigma and shared the video. They respectfully matched my enthusiasm by calling out a number of inaccuracies in my commentary. And one of these inaccuracies was that I called it a laminate body guitar, and their preferred terminology is real wood veneer because it's apparently more accurate. Needless to say, this sent me on a bit of an exploratory journey to answer some questions about this issue. So in this video, I'm going to be explaining the various ways guitar makers use laminated materials in acoustic guitars and how to decipher marketing tricks, including what to look out for when you're buying a low to mid-priced acoustic guitar so that you get what you pay for. Now, the actual definition of laminate is to make something by uniting layers of one or more materials. But when I say the word laminate, what comes to mind for you? For me, it's words like cheap, synthetic, chemical, and fake. For this reason, guitar makers cleverly move away from terms like laminate and use words like layered, real wood veneer, and most commonly saying nothing at all, and only specifying when a guitar is made of solid wood. To be clear, there's absolutely nothing inherently wrong or unethical about using laminated materials to make guitars. You see, guitar makers have been doing laminated guitars for a really long time, since the 60s, I think. And there are real benefits to this practice. But before we get into that, I want to show you some guitars. This is a 1981 Yamaha FG335a, and from the specs I could find on this relic, it apparently has an all-laminate body. According to my illustrated encyclopedia of acoustic guitars, this FG series Yamaha likely has a birch core, while the outer layers are spruce for the top and mahogany for the back and sides. This, on the other hand, is a 2012 Taylor GS Mini, and it has a solid spruce top and what they call layered back and side. Now, there are a couple of ways you can tell whether you have a laminate guitar. For the top, take a look at the sound hole. If the grain disappears along the edge of the sound hole, like on the Yamaha, then it is a laminate body guitar, unlike on this GS Mini, which has a continuation of the grain. Now, with the back and sides, it's a little bit harder to tell, but if you have one, remove the pickup output jack and have a look at the bare wood inside. It'll be obvious if there's layers of materials. You'll be able to see, as you can see on this Yamaha. Now, it's also worth noting that guitar makers use laminate materials in a range of ways, or high pressure materials. For example, on this Martin 00016, it actually has what they call micarta on the fretboard and micarta on the bridge. Now, micarta is made from pressurizing fabric and paper together with resin under really high heat, and it creates this material which is really durable and is a cheap substitute for ebony in this case. Now, Martin chose to do this and then put solid mahogany on the back of this guitar and solid spruce on the top to maintain tonal quality. Now, it's worth noting that resonance carries through the fretboard and through into the bridge. It carries through the entire guitar. So if you do have laminate parts or you have plastic parts, or in this case, layered high pressure resin, it is very likely that it will affect the tone somewhat. So why do guitar makers laminate woods, and what are the benefits and drawbacks? Well, there are a whole range of consumer benefits to laminating or layering materials for guitars. For instance, laminated materials are more durable and longer lasting, while solid materials are susceptible to climate and general wear. Plus, it makes guitars cheaper to manufacture and buy, which is good for manufacturers' bottom line and for consumer prices. The trade-off, however, is tone, and this is a whole other video because there are a range of opinions on how laminated woods affect the tone of guitars, but ultimately there is a significant loss of resonance, particularly with laminate soundboards. Now, that doesn't mean that all laminate guitars sound bad. It means they don't have the same loudness and harmonic overtones of solid wood guitars. But to be clear, not all solid wood guitars are made equal either. You can buy really low-grade tone tone woods, and much of what makes a guitar special is the way that it is treated in manufacturing. For example, good guitar makers properly tune their soundboards by ear rather than sand them to standard specifications because each piece of wood is different. Another issue with laminate guitars is repairability. It's much easier to repair breaks on solid body guitars than laminate guitars, where the laminate body or wood is made of thin layers that are pressed together, and if that breaks, it actually shatters and peels away. So each of the layers are really hard to bring back together, whereas solid woods are made of fibers, so you can just glue them back together and it's a lot more integral. So what should you look out for when buying a laminate body guitar? Firstly, if any part of the guitar is made of solid wood, it will say solid spruce, for example. If the specifications only say the name of the wood, then it is likely that that part of the guitar is laminate. So it might say something like solid spruce top with a rosewood back and sides, and that means that the back and sides are laminate. I actually can't believe that guitar makers get away with this, but it doesn't appear that they have to tell you what the core of the guitar is made of. So as a general rule of thumb, if the salesperson and the guitar maker are vague about what's in the core, be wary. Conversely, companies like Taylor, for example, are very transparent about what's in the core of their guitars. They will specify that it is poplar or whatever. Second, if you can't afford an all solid body guitar, at least go for a guitar with a solid top. This will ensure that the soundboard at minimum will carry good resonance and you have a reasonable sound. As mentioned, check that the grain of the top continues along the edge of the sound hole, because that will be an indicator that the soundboard actually is one piece. Lastly, use your ears. Like I said earlier, not all laminate guitars sound bad, and you might be pleasantly surprised by the tone of a laminate guitar compared to an all solid body guitar with a low grade tone wood. And that's okay as long as you know what you're buying. All right, I hope this video was useful, and I'll catch you in the next one.